Hello guys and welcome to Football Fandom UK. How's it going? Today doing a video with regards to Arsenal to talk about the game with Arsenal Newcastle, the Ozil situation, and obviously Arsenal's next run of fixtures being the FA Cup, where I believe they play Southampton, and actually you've got a double header against Southampton from what I'm seeing here. And also I have Jack joining me, who is an Arsenal fan, to share his thoughts on Arsenal season so far, the game against Newcastle, and obviously upcoming fixtures. And one thing we definitely want to cover, guys, is the Ozil situation, because I think that definitely needs discussing. So as I say, guys, with me here today to join me to discuss Arsenal's season so far is Jack. You're a massive Arsenal fan, mate?
Definitely, 100%. Always have been, because I'm only young. I haven't really seen the best, but I've always been around, really.
Right, so you're not quite old enough to remember the good old days with Henry, terrorising every defence in the Premier League.
No, Henry's the only one I've seen out of any of the Invincibles, because obviously he came back 2013, but I haven't seen players like Vieira, Bergkamp. I'm more used to Alexis's and Ozil's, things like that.
I'm sure you've watched some of the videos, though, of the games from historical games gone past. I remember because obviously being an older guy, but I swear, mate, honest, Henry used to terrorise every defence in the Premier League. He was absolutely awesome. I've got to say, for me, he's probably one of the most memorable Arsenal players that I can remember, because you knew when he was on the pitch, mate. He made such an impact, absolutely top player. So obviously you guys just got a 3-0 win against Newcastle, and obviously Newcastle, actually, to be fair, did actually change tactics in the first half. They came at you guys with a new formation. And a few different players that you weren't expecting. I know that from seeing the manager's interview before the game, because he was quite surprised with the changes. And they did actually chuck you a bit of a curveball in the first half, because obviously you struggled to figure out how to break them down in the first half. But obviously in the half time, Arteta got them in. Obviously identified where the weaknesses were in the new setup for Newcastle, and you guys came out and smashed 3 goals past them and got the job done. What do you make of it, mate?
Well, I mean, we've just obviously played them just a week back in the FA Cup, and they played very, very well. I think they defended well. Obviously, it gets later on into that extra time, and you really start to tire, and you can see the players, you can see the quality that we have compared to a team like Newcastle. And I expect them to set up kind of like that the other day, but absolutely different. And I think that's what Arteta's really good at. Just that half time, he knows what to say, what to do at half time to make sure we come out on top.
So I've got to ask you this. Do you think that the result against Newcastle, do you think that the players looked more positive, more motivated? Did you see any evidence in the team's performance that there was already signs of a bit more positivity in the squad that now that Ozil's moved on?
I don't know if it's just to do with Ozil, honestly. I don't even know if it's anything to do with him, but I think it's more to do with positivity from the fact that obviously we've had that run of games where we just couldn't get anything. We beat Chelsea and we've really pushed on from there. And I feel that's probably what's brought so much confidence, and just we're playing well. Since that's happened, we're gaining confidence every week. Players are gaining confidence, such as Aubameyang, who scored twice, obviously. Players like Smith Rowe come in and performed week in, week out. And I think last night Cedric played, and he played very well for one of his first games in the Prem, probably the first start, getting a really good assist, keeping the ball on. And I think just new players coming in, some of the younger players, especially obviously Saka's shining light for us all the time. Smith Rowe, it's not something I expected. I expected Willian, which most people do. So I think Arteta's making the right decisions and he's playing the right tactics as well. He's got some good tactics that he
Yeah.
sets out.
So in regards to Arteta, what do you make of fans that obviously jumped on the bandwagon in respect of getting, claiming, asking for him to be sacked, calling for him to be sacked a few weeks back when you guys were having a little bit of a bad run? Personally, myself, I have obviously discussed this with you before we recorded the video, but personally myself, I think there were too many people just jumping on the bandwagon. Considering he's a young manager, he's already brought one cup to the club in obviously the first period of his managerial reign, shall we say? And for me, as a young manager, like I said to you earlier, I think he's going to, any manager, even experienced managers, when they go to a club and they're new at that club, within the first 12, 18 months, they are going to have a bad run at some stage. And obviously, me speaking to Arsenal fans on social media, I was trying to stress this point to them, but a lot of them don't want to hear it. They just want the results to turn, so they start calling for the manager. And I just don't see that as logical when you actually look at any manager coming in is going to have some bad run at some stage.
Yeah, I feel it was completely unfair. My main point is the fact, look at how well he's done in periods with the team that he's got. He's he should be struggling a lot more than he is. He's exceeding expectations, in my opinion, with the same players. 8 or 9 players that have been there since Arsene Wenger who haven't been changed. They let down Wenger, he went. Let down Emery, he went. Let down Lundberg, he went. Arteta's come in. We can't sack another manager just because of the way that we're playing, because it's simply, you have to kind of turn and look at the players. It's like we can't end up being like a team like United, who went from Fergie to Moyes to Van Gaal to Mourinho to Ole, and I feel like they've never looked at the players and they've never invested in the right players. Obviously, they had a defensive Chris Smalling and Phil Jones and then went and bought Maguire. Like, we do that as well. We invest in the wrong players to replace players. Things like Laurent Koscielny, he was always class, and Mertesacker, them two at the back were a good pairing, and we've replaced them with Mustafi and David Luiz, which is just completely wrong. And Arteta's had to deal with that, and he's dealt with that in the right way, making good signings such as Gabriel and Partey. And a lot of people's points is the fact that he signed Willian, who every manager has that one or two dodgy signings. Pep's made a dodgy signing, I'm sure. Like, Klopp's made dodgy signings. Everybody's had that mistake of a dodgy signing. But look at what he has brought to the club. A player like Gabriel, who's had Player of the Month after Player of the Month at Arsenal. I think, in my opinion, he's kept us pushing on, because without him, in that little run we had, I think without him, Leeds would have beaten us. We could have been done over a lot more by other teams as well. And then Thomas Partey, obviously, not fully fit whatsoever, but last night I think he stood out against Tottenham before he went off. Obviously, he had a good game, not fully fit. United back pocketed every player they had.
So I agree with what you're saying with regards to Willian. He's been a massive disappointment. He has really been massive disappointment. But I'm not sure if that's actually Arteta's decision to go and get him. Because if you look, I mean, obviously, I know Arsenal fans are not going to like me saying this, but it has to be said. If you look at the club's transfer policy, when they bring in youth players, they seem to be really good at spotting young talent. But every so often, we see a desperate transfer come from the club. And what I mean by that is they'll go and sign a rival player from a club like Chelsea. We've seen it a couple of times. And these players are being let go by the likes of Chelsea because Chelsea think that they've had the best years out of them. Do you get what I mean? And yet Arsenal will still take a chance on him. Now, with regards to the goalkeeper decision, because they got the goalkeeper, didn't they, from Chelsea, Petr Cech. I don't think that was the worst decision. That was actually a good decision because they only, if I remember rightly, I think they only paid 10 million for him, which was fine. That was sensible because you got a couple of seasons out of him where he did play okay. But bringing in Willian, and obviously, I forget his name now, it's gone out of my head. Louise, that's it. Yeah. So I've got that many players' names in my head, you get mixed up sometimes, mate. But yeah, Louise. I think that them two signings are a little bit desperate.
Well, Louise, I can agree with you, but Willian is kind of the opposite because he was offered a contract by Chelsea. They wanted to keep him, but he wanted to come and play for us. But sadly, he hasn't really done much with us, really. He's got like 1 assist in about 13 games, I think. Because he was last season, he was a standout player, one of the standout players for Chelsea. But for some reason, which obviously we can't say why, he just hasn't performed up to any sort of standard whatsoever.
Do you think that it could be that he just needs a season to settle into Arsenal? Not normally, I would say I know you're probably going to say no because obviously he's an established Premier League player, and normally I would agree with that. But obviously, during the current circumstances we're facing with empty stadiums, fans not allowed in, lack of atmosphere, that's going to have an impact on players' motivation. I'm not saying that is the reason, but do you think that's playing a part in it?
I can see where you're coming from, but obviously, as you said, he's played in the Premier League, and people are saying that Pepe was a flop after his first season. So people like Arsenal fans didn't give Pepe any time, jumping on his back straight away. So I'm not surprised that people are jumping on Willian's back. Pepe's a lot younger. He's obviously come from the French league, which is, in my opinion, miles and miles off the Premier League. Willian knows about the Premier League. He's experienced. He's a lot older. He's played, obviously, way more games. He's got a rather illustrious career at Chelsea with some good seasons, I'm sure, trophies. And he just, you feel like he should, because he's very experienced. It's like Aubameyang. He came in from Germany, which I think, once again, miles off the Premier League, and that is shown by Timo Werner and Kai Havertz, who are completely out of their depth in the Prem. But Aubameyang came in, he's an experienced player in football, and he came in and did exactly what you expected. David Luiz, he's an experienced player in football, and he has played well, but I think he had this at Chelsea as well, but he always has dodgy games, he always does dodgy things. So I'm not surprised with that, but Willian's just not done. Willian hasn't had good games. He had 1 assist against Fulham, where we absolutely dominated Fulham, so it's not really the best of things. He just hasn't really done much. He came on for 20 minutes against West Brom, and I think he got 1 touch, and straight away gave it away. 1 shot, gave it away.
Obviously, I don't watch every Arsenal game. I do watch quite a few Arsenal games, but obviously I don't watch all Arsenal games. Is it because Arsenal are playing him in a different way to what Chelsea was? Is that having any bearing on it?
Well, in my opinion, no, because he's played for Chelsea, played left wing, right wing, and centre attacking mid, and we've tried him in all 3 of those positions. And
but to be fair, mate, to be fair, sorry to interrupt. To be fair, you can't stick a player in a position in a new team for what 2-3 games and expect him to turn it on. You know, I'm not sticking up for him, but I am a bit critical of people that expect a player to switch teams, play in the same position, and turn it on straight away. You do have to be a bit considerate, and at least give them 4 or 5 games just to find their feet, to feel like that, you know, the movement of the team, that, you know, get to know the players around them, what to expect. Do you get what I mean? Because we've seen with, you know, I don't like making too many comparisons, but we've seen with Barcelona, with Messi. When they bring in a new player, you know, they can bring in the best strikers in the world, but sometimes it takes them 4 or 5 games to get that click going with Messi, where they know where the ball's going to be delivered and they know where to expect Messi to ping it in or whatever. Do you get what I mean? There can be an element of that. Do you agree, or do you think that's a bit of a cop out?
Yes, but Willian's main position last season, on the left, is where we started him for 6 or 7 games, and he just wasn't good enough whatsoever. And you have to get to a point where you say there is players better, because there's, in my opinion, Saka's better, like way better. Aubameyang's better. He can be played on the left. And then if you try and shift him on the right, Pepe, in my opinion, is ahead of him. Saka also plays on the right while Aubameyang plays on the left. And then centre attacking mid, in my opinion, Emil Smith-Rowe has been a lot better. And Smith-Rowe's, one good thing about him is the fact that he links up with Saka especially so well. He knows exactly where he is. They both link up very well, and that was shown in the Chelsea game, one of the goals that we scored, which came straight from them.
So what I've got to ask you this, because obviously the channel being about all UK football, I know that if any Scottish fans are watching, they're going to be interested to hear an actual Arsenal fan's opinion about Kieran Tierney. How has he been doing since he come to the club?
Absolute hero. In my opinion, he's been. A lot of people say Saka, but I think Tierney's been head and shoulders above everybody in this team. The way he doesn't stop. He goes for 90 minutes, 120 minutes, however long we play. He will go. He goes up that wing all game, and he doesn't stop. It's like when we played West Brom. Obviously, he scored that brilliant goal. Don't suppose you saw it, where he turns back, cuts inside.
I think I did. Yeah.
And then for the rest of the game, he's still getting up. Got an assist for Lacazette. 90th minute, he's still up there putting balls in. One that we could have scored, I think, Holding hit the bar. But doesn't stop. Energy. Brilliant player.
What I've seen of him, mate, is a very exciting player, and the most exciting thing about it is there's still plenty more to come from him because he's young. Do you get what I mean? He could improve even more yet. Do you get what I mean? So it's up to this is where it's up to Arsenal to get the right players around him, because you have got talented players in that squad. But unfortunately, from my point of view, I also see that you've got 1 or 2 players in the squad that might actually be holding the team back.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, but it depends who you think those players are.
Well, I'm thinking mainly the centre backs. I'm thinking that the centre backs have been an issue for Arsenal for quite a while, and that's why you guys brought in David Luiz. And obviously, he does have good games. I'm not saying he doesn't have good games, but there's games where he has good games, and then there's games where he has the red mist. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. I think
and plus, he's not a long-term fix, is he, mate?
Yeah, I don't think he'll be playing that much. I think the reason he started yesterday is because Pablo Mari has been playing brilliant for the last few weeks since Gabriel caught COVID. And he's been playing, but he just before the Palace game, he had a tight calf, I think it was, or something like that. So he's missed games. So that's why Luiz has come in. And I think once Gabriel's back, he'll obviously be ahead of David Luiz as well, because he's been outstanding. And then the other centre-back, I think Rob Holding has been playing rather well this season, rather. Because, I mean, he's got the best stats as an Arsenal defender. And
mate, I am stunned when I hear Arsenal fans criticising, because you stole him from Bolton. You stole him, mate. You stole him. I'm a Bolton fan, so you know I've spoke to you. I'm a Bolton fan, but I do have a soft spot for Arsenal. But as far as he's concerned, you stole him. And when I hear Arsenal fans complaining about him, it's like you've got a player for peanuts off Bolton because of the position that they were in. And he's actually done okay. I'm not saying he's the best player. I'm not saying he's the long-term fix for the club. But considering the money you paid for him, considering where he's came from, I think he's done a good job. I think and when he came to the club, he still had a lot to learn as well.
Yeah, which he has learned, and I think he will be long term in there because Arteta has this thing that he likes to do, which is that one centre back has to be right footed and the other has to be left footed, which is why Holding's in there in the first place, because he could easily play like Gabriel and Mari or Gabriel and Louise, but he just doesn't like to do that. He prefers to have one left footer on the left and then a right footer on the right, obviously corresponding feet to your side. So it just makes it a little bit easier, I suppose.
Yeah,
But
it's a good balance, doesn't it? I know what you mean.
yeah,
It's a good balance in the team, and you want that because who was I reading about yesterday? There's a player that I think he's gone to Portsmouth, a young Tottenham player. Same thing, but he's very young, 18-year-old. Same thing. I think Tottenham have got similar ambitions. That he's a left-footed player and he can bring a better balance to the team. But obviously, because he's only 18 and lacking in experience, they've loaned him out to Portsmouth, hoping that'll help him develop. Do you get what I mean? But I think they're thinking like you're saying, like with Arsenal, where they have to have the balance of a left-footed player and a right-footed player. And I think that Tottenham are looking at that in the future with that youngster.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I think that Holding will stick in there because, in my opinion, I don't think we really need to replace him because there's no one. Because he's playing well. He's not like the last couple games. He has Newcastle. He hasn't had to do much against Palace. He didn't really have to do much.
He's definitely got talent from what I've seen, and he's thinking. The questions around him, I think, are more about can he do it in the big games. If Arsenal were back in the Champions League, is he the kind of player that you would want in that back four if you was facing, say, a team like Real Madrid or Barcelona or Juventus? Would you trust him in a big game like that? I think that's the only place where it's the question marks. Because when it comes to the week-to-week games, the likes of Burnley, West Brom, we've seen that he can do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But when he's got more attacking players coming at him, like what Barcelona or Juventus would chuck at him, that's where the question marks, I think, what I've detected from Arsenal fans come from.
I think I would, because he's not just a good defender, he's smart. He knows when to do this, when to do that. David Luiz, let's compare him to David Luiz. Luiz, he likes to dive in, he likes to get stuck in, he likes a slide tackle. Holding will stand the attacker, he won't dive in, he won't give away a stupid penalty or a stupid foul on the edge of the box. He'll stay up, he'll push you down the line. Luiz is
a bit of an old school player, isn't he? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, he seems to back off, and then it makes it so much easier for players to cut inside, or he just dives in, and he wins the ball, and you say well done, or he gives away a free kick or a penalty, and you're thinking, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Right, so I've got to speak about this, mate. We need to speak about it. It needs to be spoken about. I've been waiting actually for a while to speak about this, and we need to talk about Ozil because obviously, from my point of view, when he came to Arsenal, I was so excited that Arsenal got him. I thought he was going to be the missing link that Arsenal had been wanting for a number of years. Do you get what I mean? That would have pushed them to Champions League success. But unfortunately, it never quite ended up like that. And I've been hearing comments on social media of Arsenal fans calling him a legend and stuff like that. But when you actually compare him to true legends of the club like Henry and Tony Adams and players like this Bergkamp, he don't come even close in respect of what he's actually done at the club. I'm not comparing him to what he's capable of as a player. I'm on about what he's actually done on the pitch for Arsenal. So it's been bugging me a little bit hearing Arsenal fans putting him in that legend category. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Arsenal fans shouldn't appreciate his efforts and shouldn't like him and enjoy the fact that he's been part of the club's history. But to be putting him up there in that legend category, I think he's just going a bit too far. I'd love to know what you think, mate.
He's a legend of the Emirates. He's been the best player we've had at the Emirates. Obviously, Henry played at the Emirates, but that was 2013, coming towards the end of his career, couple games, and like 1 or 2 goals. Obviously, that famous goal against Leeds that he scored. Ozil, by far, maybe him and Alexis are up there, but he is just another level of player. He's obviously, there's always like comparisons, but I just think he's way above them all. But obviously, he could have triple the stats that Bergkamp had, and he would never still go anywhere near him. Bergkamp, a player like Bergkamp in general, just wasn't just a player. He was Arsenal. He came through managers. He changed the way that players were because he came in from Ajax, and there's players like Tony Adams, Ian Wright. In Holland, football's very important over there. Here, you'd play a game, you'd go down the pub after, and it is what it is. When he came in, he was obviously from Holland, and it came to things like you play a game, you're warmed down, you do all these different things, all these drills. You don't go to the pub after, you keep your fitness up, and he changed players' views, big players' views, players like Ian Wright, who obviously massive player, Lee Dixon, massive player.
Yeah.
And obviously played alongside Henry and obviously assisted him more than enough. And you can see some of the things that he did as a player, some of the things you could just look at it and think, how's that possible? Ozil was, when he played, one thing you can compare him to Bergkamp is work rate. Bergkamp would have been all over the place. You watch any highlights, he's running. Ozil's one of those players who strolls until he sees that he can get the ball. It's like, have you seen the really, really nice goal that we scored, I think, against Leicester? The one that Aubameyang scored, that big, intricate, triangular passing thing. He's always strolling until the ball came to him. He obviously lets it through his legs, and then he sees something. Because that's one brilliant thing about Ozil. He sees something before anybody else does. And he was gone. But before that, he wasn't really looking for anything. He doesn't get back whatsoever, which is what Arteta wanted. So I think that's probably the main reason he didn't play, because he just didn't put enough effort in.
He's what you call a luxury player. He's the kind of player, if you've got the rest of the team spot on, then he brings massive potential to the club, making the next step. But because of obviously what's gone on at the club with the changes of manager, players turning quite a high player turnover in some seasons, where Arsenal have actually shipped out quite a few players. It's not a settled team, and I totally agree for me. I love talented players. I love seeing the skill. But for me, the players I love watching even more than that, and it's probably because I'm an older guy, but I love watching hard-working players. That's why I've had debates with people talking about Messi and stuff like that. But for me, I'd rather watch a player like James Milner, because how can you not admire somebody like James Milner with the work rate and commitment that lad will put in? He's not the fanciest of football. He's not got the most technical stuff, but he will put a shift in. Every time you put him on that pitch, you know he's going to work his ass off for the team. And that's what fans want to see. Well, as I want to see that. So it's all right having these luxury players like Ozil, but there's no point having a luxury player on the field if you haven't got the hard-working players.
Yeah, that's what I love so much about a player like Gabriel Martinelli. He's all over the place. Lacazette all over the place. But Ozil, he's class. You can see he's class. We obviously we haven't been up to the standard of Real Madrid in years, if ever. Yeah. But you could see him at Real Madrid. They were obviously in the Spanish league, miles ahead of everybody. And he slotted in there nicely, playing it through to Ronaldo. That bumped up the assist because it's Ronaldo. But here, our work rate wasn't that high. I think it wasn't low, but it was like everybody did something apart from him. So he kind of just looked like the odd one out, strolling backwards as Lacazette's pushing forward to get the ball, Ozil strolling up through the halfway line. And it's just like, you look at him and you think, that'll be fine if you
doesn't look like he's giving the commitment.
Yeah, and you think it would be fine if he was getting an assist and a goal a game, but he just isn't, and he wasn't.
So anyway, mate, quickly before we run out of time, I want to just quickly get your thoughts on the next few games coming up for Arsenal, because you've actually got you've got quite an interesting run of games. You've got Southampton that you're going to be playing twice, once in the cup and once in the league. You've got then a big game against Man United at your place. You've got Wolves away, which is going to be that is definitely a tricky game because Wolves are quite strong at home. You've got Aston Villa away, then you've got Leeds at home, and then you're into the Europa League. Your first game in the knockout is against Benfica away. So what's your expectation for that run of games?
We'll see. Looking at the next two games, obviously Southampton, I think they'll probably want to put a little bit more into the cup, Southampton, because the team like Southampton obviously won't be winning the Premier League unless there's a miracle such as Leicester. So they might want to push a little bit more for a cup run and maybe some silverware if they get lucky. And I feel like we don't need any silly changes from Arteta. When we get to Europa League, stick whoever you want in, stick a Pepe in, stick a Willian in, put a Aubameyang in goal for all I care in the first leg. It's in the Premier League is where we need to focus right now, because it's a two-leg competition, Europa League. So if you lose one, you can claw it back. In the Premier League, if you lose that game, it's not coming back. You're not getting a second chance. So we need to make sure we do everything smart and right. I think Man United, I reckon, we're big game. Obviously, of course, it's Arsenal United.
So it's your place, that one, and all.
Yeah, I think we'll win that. Honestly, I'm confident. We've done.
To be fair, that could be the wake-up call that United that United get. To be honest, because they are on a bit of a run. They've been doing quite well, apart from obviously losing to City. They managed to stop Liverpool and actually came close to winning against Liverpool. So this could be because they're on a bit of a high. You know what the United fans can be like. They can get carried away with themselves. Do you know what I mean? This could be the bump in the road for them. Do you get what I mean? Because Arsenal, are more than capable of getting a result against United.
I reckon we'll pull it off, because you look at United and you think, oh, they're top of the league. It's all merry, but it swings and roundabouts with United. Top six, I haven't seen them do anything all season. Bruno Fernandes, their standout player, hasn't done anything against the big six this season. And
they're up there because they're getting the results against the shall we say, the teams further down the league. They're getting consistent results there. But when you, like you say, when they're playing against the teams, the top six are in and around them, they're not looking 100% convincing. You can still see that they've got weaknesses. You can still see that they could be got at.
Yeah, you can still see those issues of, I'll pick three players. I think Martial, not nowhere near good enough. John Stones has scored.
He has been a massive disappointment for United, considering how long he's been at the club.
John Stones has scored more goals in one game than he has all season. That just kind of sums it up. McTominay, I don't think he's anywhere near good enough for a team like United. And then everybody's just going to point to Harry Maguire, aren't they? He's just, some of the things he does, you look at him and think,
Harry Maguire is a good player, but I think a lot of people are getting carried away with him because he's not actually shown anything. He's not actually particularly won anything yet. And he's not, he's still yet to be properly tested in respect of playing for England. Do you get what I mean? So, we could be in the same situation with Harry Maguire, where people get carried away like they did with Rooney and hype him up too much too soon, and it ends up actually making him turn out to just be an average player.
I don't even think it's that. I think he's like a Pepe big money, so everybody's gonna watch everything he does. Every step he takes, he's being watched. He's worth 80 million. That's no
He's not
pushover.
worth 80 million, mate. They
Well,
paid 80 million
yeah,
for
they
him. Doesn't
paid
mean
80.
he's worth 80 million.
Yeah, but because every single small mistake will get picked up. Some players who obviously got bought for 5, 10 million, you'll look at them and you'll go, "Oh, he played well today." You won't pick out that dodgy pass or that dodgy tackle. With Maguire, will think 80 million and he's doing stuff like that. And it's not even discreet, like a small dodgy pass. It's like the Tottenham 6-1. That just shows they can't play against real big teams. He made some really dodgy mistakes just
I,
all
I think
games.
I
Under
think the price tag with Harry Maguire, mate, is what we've been discussing for a few years about English players and the fact that the price jacked up. Do you know what I mean? If it's an English player, immediately there's an extra 15, 20 million on the price just because they're an English player, which is absolute madness. But
oh
obviously that is that because to me, Harry Maguire potentially, if you actually look at that, I would say that Harry Maguire, yeah, in today's market, a 50, 60 million pound player, but nowhere near as much as 80.
no,
That extra 20 million has been stuck on just because, one, because he's English, and two, because of the limited options for top defenders. And because United have had obviously got money to throw around like no other club, it means that they can take a chance on him
yeah.
and hope that they can get him to reach the potential that he potentially has.
I still don't think he's worth any more than 30 million cap.
No, I would say he's 50 because only in today's market because of how crazy it is. And we're not, and as we're seeing that you know, there is a limited pool of good defenders. So, you know, I'm not saying he's a great defender, but he's a good enough defender that, you know, he can help a team improve in the Premier League. He's just not consistent enough in his performances. You get what I mean?
True, but look at a player like Gabriel. We got him for about 20 million. Pablo Mari, we got him for about 5 million. Obviously, different position, but Thomas Partey was about 40 million. And those players have all performed in their respective positions a lot better than Maguire has, in my opinion.
You're probably right, mate, but there's a difference. One, they're English players, and two, Harry Maguire wasn't just touted by United. Man City were interested in him at the time as well. And any player that Manchester City are interested in, immediately the price goes up
Goes
just
up,
because
yeah.
they've got deep pockets. Do you get what I mean? So the players that you're talking about, if Man City had gone in for one or two of them players, the price would have probably rocketed up just because Manchester City are knocking at the door and other clubs know that Manchester City have got plenty of money.
That is very true, but you just look at United and you think there's weak spots. I think he's not a bad player. I think he plays well, but I think one player that you can target is Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think once he's under real pressure, he kind of gets a bit starstruck, a bit worried, and he kind of loses it. 'Cause when we beat them earlier on the season, 1-0, him and McTominay as well. McTominay was kind of wandering in and out between nowhere. He was just kind of going that way. He's just kind of ball watching, if you know what I mean. He's kind of just following the ball instead of, because the first half he was on Partey, and then the second half he kind of just started going anywhere. Oh, Leicester have just gone 1-0 up actually against Chelsea. Just popped up on my phone.
Cool.
Yeah, but he.
Was you happy with that? And then it's Chelsea thing. Anyway, mate, we are fast running out of time. So before I call it an end of the video, I just want to quickly get your score prediction for the FA Cup game against Southampton. You playing away. What's your prediction, mate?
I reckon it'll be 3-1. I think Danny Ings will definitely nick a goal, and then I think Saka, Emil Smith Rowe, and Aubameyang have goals as well.
Do you see any big changes in the team, or do you think it'll be the Has Arteta been making big changes in the cup this season?
No, I think we'll stay the same team. 'Cause Newcastle the other night, we had the exact same team that we did the week before.
Right.
Didn't make any changes.
Right. So basically, you're saying that manager's taking the competition very serious right from the start, then?
Yes, he is. He wants, as he said last season, the FA Cup is a trophy. A trophy is a trophy. He will take it seriously as possible.
Right. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Yeah, and to be fair, Arsenal have had plenty of success in the FA Cup, so why not take it serious? So anyway, mate, thank you very much for joining me on the video. I've actually really enjoyed talking to you because you actually, considering you're a young lad, you've got quite a good amount of football knowledge, which is awesome. And obviously, if you're interested, it'd be great to get you on the channel again in the future at some point and talk about some other footballing issues within the whole of the UK football a bit more maybe next time.
Thank you for having me.
No, mate, I was glad we've been trying to sort this out for a couple of days, but I wanted to obviously wait till obviously Arsenal had the game against Newcastle. So yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic to have you on, mate, and really enjoyed talking to you. I've had a few other people on before, but not everybody has actually, got good football knowledge. So sometimes it can be like trying to get blood out of a stone when you're creating conversation. But with you, mate, it's been fantastic because you have actually got quite a good knowledge of football, and I've really enjoyed having you on. So hopefully, mate, I'll get you on again in the future if you're up for it.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. Cool. So hopefully you guys can make some impact now that Ozil has gone, and that might balance you guys out a bit more, because I do think that was having some sort of impact at the club. And I wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season, mate.
Thank you very much.
Okay, take care, and I will speak to you soon, mate. Bye for now.